Hey there, welcome to our AP Legal Zone podcast, brought to you by AP Lawyers. We are your top fix for all weekly law updates, including family, immigration, wills, and estates law. Just a friendly reminder, we are not your lawyers, and everything contained in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and not to be construed as legal advice. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can stay connected with any updates and get notified about our new episodes.
Hello, I'm Angela Princewill, and today I would like to answer a question that I've been getting often recently, which is where would my hearing be? So during the pandemic, for those that had matters that started or continued during that time, everything went virtual. Well, courts are reopening now, and so people are confused where they would have their hearings, whether virtually or in person. Your matter may be in the Ontario Courts of Justice, and usually that means there is no property component that we're dealing with. If there is property, or if you're in a region like Oshawa, for example, where there's a unified family court, then your matter will be happening in the Superior Court. So let's talk about the steps in the process, and depending on where you are, it will determine the mode of hearing. So first, I'm going to go over the list with the Superior Court of Justice, and then I'll do the same for the OCJ. So if you're having a first appearance and it's at the Superior Courts, it will be happening virtually, which is great news because most times it's really just the first appearance really is just an administrative hearing for the most part, to determine if, materials have been properly filed and make sure that everything is in order to move to the next stage of the process. So first appearances at the Superior Court of Justice will be proceeding virtually. Case conferences are expected to be in person unless the judge directs otherwise. The same for settlement conferences. If you have a settlement conference, prepare to attend in person. And if you have a trial management conference, it will be virtual, except there is a settlement component to it, in which case it would be in person. So what do I mean by that? There's times when you're attending at a trial management conference, and it's a trial management conference and a settlement conference. So judges do that often so that parties get a chance, one last attempt at settling the matter before just, doing the procedural parts of just making sure the matter is ready for trial. But if it's just straight out ensuring that things are ready going forward for trial in the right way, and there's no settlement component to it, then it would all be done virtually. Motions, if it's a motion that's less than an hour, and this is in either Toronto or Windsor or any sort of area that doesn't have the unified family courts, then your motion will be happening virtually. If you're in a unified family court or in Toronto or Windsor, then you need to see the respective regional notices of those courts, because depending on the court you are, for short motions that are an hour or less, then you may be having to attend virtual or in person, depending on the region where you are. So you have to check the notices for those. But otherwise, if it's not a unified family court and it's outside of Toronto and Windsor, then it's virtual. If it's an urgent motion, it's virtual, and usually urgent motions require you to show urgency. It's not an urgency. It's a legal test that you need to meet for that. So it's not just the fact that you want to get things done quickly. If it is an actual urgent motion, then it will be proceeding virtually unless the judge orders otherwise. Long motions, which are motions that are more than an hour, would usually would be in person at the SCJ unless the judge orders otherwise. And then for your trials at the SCJ, and I'm saying SCJ without actually knowing if you understand what I'm saying, but that's the Superior Court of Justice, so I'm still on the Superior Court of Justice. So trials in the Superior Court of Justice will proceed in person. There will be discretion for witnesses to appear virtually, so kind of a hybrid model, unless, of course, a court directs otherwise. So let's move on to the OCJ, which is the Ontario Court of Justice, which is usually where you would have matters like parenting issues and support, mostly cases with no property component if you're not in a region that is using a unified family court. So your first appearance will be virtual. Case conferences would be in person, settlement conference in person, trial management conferences will be virtual, your motions will be virtual, and all of these are unless the judge directs otherwise, right? So case conference in person, so case conference, settlement conference, motions, those are all in person unless the judge orders otherwise. And then trials as well are expected to be in person with the same discretion for witnesses to appear virtually unless a judge orders otherwise. And so, I mean, I've had the experience of recently of requesting a virtual attendance for one of these attendances that was supposed to be in person. And so we had to get a judge's order allowing us to have that motion proceed virtually. And we were able to do that because, well, in our specific case, one of the parties was already out of province. The matter was going on in the Niagara region. Our offices are around Pickering and Toronto. And so we, it would be quite, some travel going over there. This was a matter that started during the pandemic. And so it was fine at the time to attend virtually. And we were able, and I think the lawyer for the other side was all the way in Derry. So it was, we had to make a request to the court, and the judge very kindly allowed our matter to proceed virtually. So that's an option that is available to you. But, sort of the things that I've reeled off earlier just relate to the presumption of how it's expected to go. And if you want it to go differently, then you would have to get a judge to order otherwise. And they would usually want to, they would want some reason as to why you wanted to proceed that way. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. And what I'll do is in the comments, I would post sort of a table that shows exactly, visually exactly where your matter will, how your matter will be proceeding, so that whether in the OCJ or the Superior Court, so that it can help you plan and prepare and just have a sense of direction on where your matter is going. And that's it for now. Take care and have a fantastic week, everyone.
Thanks for listening and joining us in the AP Legal Zone. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find more episodes by searching AP Legal Zone on anywhere you watch podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast today so you can stay connected with any updates and get notified about any new episodes.